Hello guys, welcome to a new video on Tower of God New World, and in this video I'm going to do the tier list for the ignition weapons. I already mentioned this kind of format in the Rafia and Alocasia video, and I think it kind of makes sense to give a brief overview of which sets are worth farming for, which ones are a bit more niche but can still be worth it, and which ones you can just directly skip. So that's more or less the idea for this video. And yeah, I will just quickly go over the 5 different rankings, and then I think we can just get started with the tier list. So the rankings I created are S rank, strong and versatile, A rank, a great set, B rank, balanced, C rank, cool but too niche, and D rank, don't farm for it. This is kind of the tier list that I'm going for. And I would say we can start from the bottom. So we'll first pick the sets that I would not recommend anyone farming for. And the first one would be Bergamot. If you have pieces, great. But if you don't, I wouldn't really bother, because this one is just giving a lifesteal. And if a unit want lifesteal, they will have it in either the exclusive equipment, or there will be warriors or even assassins that have it as a subnode in the revolution. The 4-piece effect kinda sucks because you don't have invincibility frames, so you might as well just die directly. So you will be healed, but die immediately after, so it makes no sense. So yeah, this set is kind of being outclassed by a lot of other sets. There is really no reason for it. So yeah, don't farm it. Now, the other set that would end up in this same category would be Abgrund. And the reason is also pretty similar, because this set has a good 2-piece, but as I mentioned in the Alocasia and Rafia video, 2-piece effect, basically all of them can be removed from buff removal skills. So if you're against an Urek, just say goodbye to your 2-piece effect. If you're against an Anniversary Ewa or a Garam, the same thing. So they're not really that reliable. For the 4-piece effect, is somewhat okay, but we only have 2 units plus potentially anyone if run with Evan that can conceal themselves. They are both assassins, and assassins get crit hit rate from the revolution subnodes. Now they're both SSR, so they're not getting as much crit rate, but this set normally, like, units that can conceal themselves logically are assassins usually. So if an SSR plus assassin comes out with conceal, I would still not run this set because they have 90% crit rate in the revolution subnodes. So this set is absolute dog shit. Now, if in the future we're going to get a warrior with conceal mechanic, that could be helpful because they only get crit damage increase in the revolution subnodes. So this additional 50% crit hit rate could be nice if the conceal is frequent enough to keep the uptime on this buff. At that point, I could see this set being used. Otherwise, absolute dog shit. For now, don't even bother. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And I'd say those are the only 2 sets I would not recommend anyone farming for. All the other ones at least have a niche where they're good. And the first one I wanted to mention is probably going to be Idea, actually, in the C rank. Now, I would have ranked this one a bit higher if I did this tier list before the 2 new ignition weapon sets, because Rafia kind of made this set a bit outdated, I would say. Because, okay, the 2-piece effect is nice, the effect resistance is good, but again, could be removed by buff removal skills. For now, it's still fine. You will find teams without those 3 units, but you can lose this effect fairly quickly. Still nice, and probably the 2-piece is the best use of this set right now. The 4-piece is okay to get a second quick special move for some units like a Datamashani, an Evankel, maybe Meliodas, stuff like that. But now Rafia is more constant throughout the fight and also provides some sort of effect, like status effect immunity, which is kind of nice. It doesn't replace the two set effect, because status effect immunity won't prevent debuffs from applying to you, but still, like, I kind of feel this set is even more niche than before, because there are not many units that have great benefits from casting 2 special moves back to back. and now there is even less reason to do so. So I would rank this piece in the C ranking, and this makes the Abgrund idea secret floor one of the worst ones to farm, because both of them are just whatever kind of sets. Now the other set I would put in the cool but too niche is Mongle. Now Mongle is an awesome set. The issue with it is that you need a unit that can quickly apply provoke on the enemies. And as of right now, the best user of this set is Karaka. He has so many provokes, he can just restack this effect if it is removed from a buff removal skill, or just in general get it maxed as soon as possible. Other units that could use it are Varagarv, Mamanak, Escanor, and Ancient Rack, but their provokes are less frequent and highly situational. So I would say this is an okay set, at least to have it on Karaka. For the other guys, you can use a better one, like a Rafia even, or Cella, or whatever. I don't really think this one is too important right now. So yeah, that's why it is in the C rank for me. Now, I would say that's enough for the cool but too niche. Maybe we could put some other things like I'm also trying to think about PvP in here, not only just adventure, but the focus will be 70% adventure, 30% PvP. But if I were to look only at adventure, Raihanna would also end up here, because Raihanna, now that we can push high deficits with the units we have and all the systems that they're providing us, we can push higher deficit than before, and Raihanna units cannot kill the first unit they hit. So this Raihanna would only be a silence tool to silence whatever enemy you're hitting, which comes in handy at times, but is not that great anymore. And I think I will run like my Jinsung and my like regular Yuri with different sets. I will try some more variations instead of going for a 4-piece Raihanna, just because again 4-piece Raihanna is highly situational right now for adventure, but it's awesome in PvP, and still the silence alone is pretty helpful. So I will still put it in balanced, but this is a really close between the two, I would say. Still, I will put it in balanced, but again, for the reasons I just mentioned, I feel like it could go lower or a bit higher if you're a PvP player. So yeah. So let's go over Raihanna really quickly, but there is not much to say. Like, we have the first hit that the unit does, so it can only be used on specific units that have a really good first hit, be it a unit like regular Yuri, Jinsung, Michael, or Misang, whatever, that can cast, that have a high multiplier on the first hit. This is going to be pretty beneficial, or even a Blarode that I didn't mention. But it could also be used on Escanor, which I think is the best user of this set right now for adventure, because he has the passive that is an AoE circle, and he can silence all the units inside of it for 3 seconds. So usually you can kind of reliably silence the whole enemy front line, or at least the ones that are close range. So that's definitely a good use for this set. And yeah, the attack increase is okay, but again, you're not going to kill at high deficit, so this part is not as important. And then we have a 2-second status effect immunity after this first hit, which is okay. So yeah, that's pretty much it for Raihanna, I would say. Now, since we're already in this secret floor, I will say that I would also put Doris in the balanced. Could also arguably go in cool but too niche, but I think it has more uses. It's not necessarily too niche. I mean, you can run it on a lot of different supports. The ones that need to chain special moves will make a better use of it. But just in general, you can run it on any kind of support just to buff your backline, because this set, other than the 10 swiftness that we will give to the wielder, it will also give a 20 swiftness to the back row as long as the barrier is up. So you also have to hope that you can get this buff for the whole 10 seconds, which is also making it more situational than I'd like. But it's okay. It's a good buff, especially if you have units that can get more benefits out of a quicker special move or just quicker basic attack animation and reduce cooldowns. It's okay. It only lasts for 10 seconds, but it's still a pretty solid buff. And also the 2-piece can come in handy in a lot of situations. Though now we have Rafia that does the same plus gives HP for some reason. So yeah, still a pretty balanced set. I think it's really beneficial and helpful. Now the next sets that I would put in balanced are L and Runda too. So both of these Secret Force are okay-ish. I would give L and Runda a bit more importance if you're not a PvP guy. If you're a PvP guy, Raihanna and Doris will be better. But yeah, Runda doesn't need really a lot of explanations. It's similar to Doris, but in certain scenarios for a quicker special move is a bit better. It's going to provide up to 500 energy. This all depends on how long the barrier is going to last. It's not restricted to backline alone, and is also providing an okay defense buff, but not really that important. So yeah, this can be extremely beneficial. Again, you run it on supports or maybe some other units that don't really have a best slot set. You can run a Runda just to provide additional value to your team. So definitely a good team-wide buff. Well, not team-wide, but you get what I mean, like all the units in the same row. So it's pretty good. And yeah, not much to say about this one. It's a great set on supports. I think it's fairly balanced. It's not a great set because it has a lot of limitations and only has effect in the first 10 seconds, up to 10 seconds. So yeah, but pretty cool effect nonetheless. And yeah, the other one that I put here is L. L has a major flaw, and that is you have to avoid getting hit for 5 seconds. This restricts it to mainly ranged units or close range units that can chain invincibilities back to back, like potentially an Evankel. If you're running her with a Revolution 5 Anak, you might have enough energy to chain special moves back to back to back, and you can get the advantage of the additional 50% attack. But most of the users will be ranged units that cannot use Sundance. That's basically the use cases. So for example, Irang, Wang Nanja, you could run it potentially on Kunedan, but Kunedan I feel like 2-piece is better, though he's going to lose it against enemies that remove buffs. But other than against those enemies, the 2-piece hybrid with like swiftness plus attack speed or 2x swiftness, now that we have Rafia, from my point of view, is a bit more efficient than the 4-piece L, because your add-on is going to often get it, especially the way I position him. Since you're running with resistances, you can also position him in the front line, and you might even be a bit more careless about where you place him. So 4-piece L might not trigger as much, but still a really good set. Is obviously Viol best in slot, but most of the units that are running it is because they don't have a better option, because range units that are based on basic attacks are going to run Sundance instead. So it's okay, it's balanced, but it's not that great of a set, especially now. Then if we move on to a great set, I would say, well, first, there is a set that I don't know if I should place it in A or B rank, and that is Alocasia. Because this set is a bit restrictive, as in you kind of want to run it on a physical damage dealer, unless you directly want to ignore this last part, and just say I will just run it to avoid some basic attacks, then you can run it on anyone potentially. I don't think that's a great idea, but you could. And yeah, I feel like this set could be balanced, but could also be a great set. I'm kind of conflicted here. The reason being that you can easily restack this buff even if you lose it from a unit that can remove buffs. So it's definitely more solid than some of the other options, and it can be used for the whole fight. Yeah, I think in general it makes sense to put it in A. It doesn't really have a lot of downsides, but yeah, it doesn't provide utility to the team, but for a unit personal damage or just extra survivability with the evasion, I believe this is a great set in general. Now, the second set I would put here in the great set category would be Sundance, because it's true that this is restricted to only a particular niche, so basic attackers, and that's it. But at least it's not only ranged basic attackers, could also be close range basic attackers, which is pretty good. And the effect it has are absolutely insane, like 20% defense ignore and 200% attack as additional damage on every single basic attack. It's a huge damage increase. Might even go in strong and versatile, like in the S rank category, but due to the fact that it's a bit restrictive, if you don't have, you might be in a scenario where you don't have a basic attacker. Well, everyone will have Kaiser pretty much because she's one of the recommended units and she's going to run this one. Vivi can also run this set perfectly fine. You might even run it on a compressed rack, kind of. Yeah, is mostly better than L, but is not the best user of it. You can run it on the Mashini, you can run it on Oakin, you can run it on quite a lot of units, but it's not as versatile and the other two options that we're going to see in the S rank. Still, if this one I felt like was between A and B, Sundance is between S and A, I would say. Now for the S rank, I guess most of you can already imagine, since they are the only two options left. We have Rafia, and this is going in S just because the two-piece effect provides okay stats, like 10 swiftness is helpful for anyone, basically, so that's a great upgrade. But again, you can lose it, so I'm not really going to focus too much on that. The fourth set effect is going to be a constant supply of energy, which is pretty massive. And we are also going to get some status effect immunity for 2 seconds every 8 seconds if afflicted by crowd control, which, as I said in the previous video, could be extremely beneficial if the enemy, if they don't have too many crowd controls, but they are AoE and almost inevitable, like a Garam in the enemy team. She will have a 5-second stun on the special move every, I don't know, depends how quickly she can cast it, but could be more than 8 seconds, so you could potentially cancel all of her crowd controls, which is a pretty good set compared to the other ones that could potentially lose order value against set Garam. So this set is pretty good. You can use it on a lot of units. Literally, you can use it on supports, you can use it on damage dealers that would previously run an idea. You can really use it on a lot of units. So he's super strong and versatile. I think it deserves the S rank. And the other set that goes here is Cella. This is higher than Sundance, mainly because, again, Cella can be run on absolutely anyone. The downside is that you can lose the buff. So I would rank it below Rafia in the scenarios where you're facing Urek, Garam, and Anniversary Iwa. In the other scenarios, this is super good to prevent some pierce from the enemies super easily, to reach the resistance cap if you are an earlier player. So this is a lot more useful early on, and later on will still be helpful because we will be getting enemies that have pierce that can shred a lot of resistances, so having more of them will help increase survivability. So yeah, this set is extremely good. And this makes Rafflesia and Alocasia plus Sundance and Cella the two best secret floors to farm from my point of view, because they have the most versatile and in general better sets. And yeah, I'm also really looking forward to the ignition weapons that are going to release in December, I believe, because I think they released the roadmap for this year, and we had 2 new ones in September and 2 new ones in December. So I'm really looking forward to what they're going to release. My hope is that it's going to be something for skill-based user that can be comparable to Sundance. So like every time you cast a skill, you gain, I don't know, some kind of damage bonus, whatever. But we'll see. I have no idea. So yeah, thank you so much guys for watching. I hope this tier list was fun and helpful. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and if you like the video, please drop a like and subscribe to my channel. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!